Coming up on Inside the Summit League, a fresh look at the inspiring story of an athlete at Omaha. He fought fear and trauma for years after witnessing a school shooting and now does all that he can to help others deal with mental health issues. We will hop along with a jackrabbit at South Dakota State, a three-time high school state champion, now setting records at her Summit League school. And the SDSU baseball team making a move up in the standings this week after a weekend sweep at home. Welcome to the show. Baseball coming up in a little bit, but we start with softball and the incredible ongoing career of an outstanding pitcher at North Dakota State University. Krista Menke was the Freshman of the Year, the Pitcher of the Year when she came to Fargo back in 2012. She was the most valuable player in the Summit League tournament last year, and so far this season, she leads the nation in strikeouts with 275 in 179 innings. That is an average of 1.6 strikeouts per inning. She is already 7th on the Summit League all-time list for strikeouts in a single season, and the Bison still have 13 regular season games left this year. Well, Menke leads the league in wins and ERA as well, and she is the Pitcher of the Week for the 7th time already this season and the 17th time in her career. That is the most ever. Menke threw 2 complete game 1 hitters against South Dakota State last week. NDSU won 3 straight against the Jackrabbits, and the Bison stay on top of the Summit League with a 10-2 record so far in league play. Now, the Player of the Week is Yvonne Minogue at South Dakota. She was incredible. 14 hits in 17 at-bats. She takes over the league lead in batting with a .481 average on the season. 3 home runs for the week. She sets a new USD record with her 21st double of the season. And the Coyotes scored 42 runs in 3 games against Fort Wayne in their weekend sweep of the Dons. The other league matchup of the week in softball was in Macomb. Western Illinois taking on IUPUI. Western Illinois won game 1 of the series 2-1. And the Jags and the Leathernecks here in game 2. It is 4-2. IUPUI on top in the 5th inning. 2 on for Holly Holting, though, and that is gone. 2nd of the season for Holting. Western Illinois takes a 5-4 lead, and a little fun at home plate. You should be able to celebrate like this in football if you want to, but anyway, IUPUI comes back, gets a run in the 6th to tie it. They get 2 in the 7th to win it. Aaron Dillon smokes that to the gap. Ronnie Patterson comes in to score, and the Jags even the series with a 7-5 win in game 2. And on Sunday in Game 3, the Jags get 1 in the 1st on a rocket by Patterson. Allie Mosier comes in to score. Leathernecks, though, right back at it in the bottom of the 1st. Look at this by Sammy Marshall. Everybody knows it's coming, but can't stop her. She is on at first. And then 2 batters later, Tierney Botno gets all of that. And the Leathernecks have a 2-1 lead. But top of the 2nd, Jaguars get a couple across. Delilah Wright slices out a 2-run single. IUPUI up 4-2. Maggie Good goes 4 for 4 in this game for IUPUI, and the Jags win game 3 to take 2 of 3 at Western Illinois. Well, baseball's up next, but we hit the break with some of the pictures and the noise of the Final Four in Indianapolis. IUPUI was one of the host teams for the tournament this year. John Barry, one of the sports information guys at IUPUI, had his GoPro camera working and captured some of the excitement between Wisconsin and Duke.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort and Dakota Land Honda. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Health, your Heartland Chevy team dealers, and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back now to baseball, and two teams are hot right now, South Dakota State and Oral Roberts, and just so happens that those two teams have the players of the week this week. Darian James came through with a 2-run double to send Oral Roberts to that win over Texas Tech, the number 23 team in the country last week. James then went 6 for 6 in a game against Western Illinois, and some highlights of that series coming up in a second. Adam Bray of South Dakota State is the pitcher of the week, a complete game win against North Dakota State. In that game, he had 5 strikeouts, sets a new South Dakota State school record for career strikeouts with 228 for Adam Bray. Well, here are the Jacks and the Bison and the Eagles and the Leathernecks in this week's baseball highlights. North Dakota State at South Dakota State on Thursday. Zach Coppola had 3 hits in this one for the Jackrabbits. He is second in the league right now, hitting .410, just behind Cole Gruber at Omaha. Coppola scores twice. South Dakota State gets 2 runs in the third. They get 3 more in the 4th inning. And that is more than enough for Adam Bray. Complete game, 4-hitter, 5 Ks, and he gets the new South Dakota State career record for strikeouts in the 5-2 South Dakota State win. Well, SDSU wins 5-4 on Saturday, and the Jackrabbits going for the sweep on Sunday. Coppola with 3 more hits. And the Jackrabbits had not hit a lot of home runs this year, just 7 of them going into this game. They crank out 4, all solo shots, one by Cody Sherrill, Reed Clary, Newt Johnson, and Matt Johnson with solo home runs for South Dakota State. They're throwing guys out at the plate. Nice play by Newt Johnson, and SDSU wins 13-5 to take 3 straight from North Dakota State. Meanwhile, in Macomb, Illinois, Western Illinois, and Oral Roberts, this is the 6-hit game for Darian James. Hot shot through the left side, drives in a couple. James with 5 RBI, he scores 4 times. The Golden Eagles pound out 20 hits. Anthony Sequeira with his 5th home run of the season. He is tied for the league lead in RBI right now with 34. Oral Roberts wins 19-1, 10-0, and 5-0 in the sweep at Western Illinois. Up next, the story from Omaha, basketball and brotherhood, and how they have helped Kyler Erickson put his life back together after he lived through a school shooting at his high school. How he finally faced the fear and now works with others who suffer from post-traumatic stress.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort and Dakota Land Honda. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Health, your Heartland Chevy team dealers, and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, Kyler Erickson just finished up his senior season playing basketball at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and the fact that he was on the floor at all is pretty amazing given what he went through in high school. Here is Jay Elson with the story.
Natural ability goes a long way in high school basketball. Kyler Erickson had a lot of it. What he lacked in size, he more than made up for in quickness and creativity. After helping lead Omaha's Millard South High School back to the Nebraska State Tournament for the first time in nearly a decade as a junior, Erickson showed even more promise as a senior. College coaches were taking notice, and it was pretty clear that basketball was a ticket to somewhere. But no one could have predicted the direction the game would take Erickson on January 5th, 2011.
We had a game the night before, and so I hurt my ankle pretty bad in that game, and so I was sitting in class and I asked for a pass to go to the nurse's office just to ice my ankle a little bit. When I was there, we had a student who got suspended that morning and then came back, and he had his father's gun.
Shooting at Millard's house, 14905 Q Street.
Shots fired. Help an officer. 147 Q, Millard's house.
Robert Butler Jr., the son of an Omaha police detective, shot 2 people, Assistant Principal Vicki Casper and Principal Curtis Case, in the school's main office. As he left the building, he fired at and missed a school custodian. Debris from that shot injured a school nurse.
We need a medic at the front office. Got an adult male down with an injury to the head. Pierce.
One wall separated us from the assistant principal's office and the principal's office, and so I heard, everything there was to hear, and I saw, just a lot of blood.
Round 22, suspect is gone. Robert Butler is his name. Red Honda Accord 2-door.
Police found Butler in his car less than an hour later, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. One of the victims, Casper, died that night. In the wake of the shooting, Erickson was understandably shaken, but the full effects from that terrifying day didn't surface until his freshman year at Northwest Missouri State University.
Everybody's brain is different, and so I know a lot of people who were in the office who saw the same stuff that I did. It hit them a month later, 2 months later, and so for me it hit a year and a half.
Kyler was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD.
I, would wake up a lot of nights and see these ghosts and see these figures, and I didn't want to tell a lot of people because I kind of thought of it just as something you want to push aside, and I was a college athlete. I didn't want that to affect me or affect my scholarship, and so I kind of just held it in.
As time passed and the symptoms persisted, Erickson realized he needed help. So following his freshman year, Kyler returned to Omaha to begin a therapy program known as EMDR.
It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And so it moves it from one side of your brain to the other, so that's no longer attached with your emotions. We would go in this room and there'd be this, this little panel, this board with lights, all different, shapes and sizes, and you had to focus on these lights while these lights around the room were kind of flashing in all different directions. And so I don't know who came up with it or how, but it does wonders for you.
After 3 months of intense treatment, Kyler's PTSD was virtually cured. The nightmares were gone, and the memories, while still vivid, were no longer crippling. He was emotionally free for the first time since the shooting.
It just completely changed when you go through something like this, and everything my school has and I did, you just kind of soften up and become almost a better person because of it. It's kind of the only choice you have.
It started with forgiveness. Erickson may never understand why Butler pulled that trigger, but he's learned to live with a limitless sense of compassion, a quality he credits to his own struggle with mental health.
These disorders that people have, they can be so strong, and that's what forces people to do stuff like this. And I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault or anything like that, but these things are so much stronger than we think or than we know, and that's why we see all these horrific events that happen.
Erickson, who transferred to Nebraska Omaha in 2013, took things to a new level about a year ago with this self-produced message of hope.
I'm just a kid who dreams of a world with less suicides, less school shootings, less hate, more love, more kindness.
Initially, he wasn't sure what would come of it. That is until his mother showed it to a family member, a war veteran who was in his own bout with PTSD.
He saw the video and then he shared it and then tagged me in it on Facebook. And so then, my friends saw it and they started sharing it, and then the news saw it. They were over there, I think, that same night. And so I was sitting on my computer answering Facebook messages, emails from, I think it was 5 p.m. till 2 a.m.
The correspondence hasn't stopped, and neither has Kyler. He produced a second video about 6 months later. At last check, his messages had been seen by more than 25,000 people in 13 countries.
I guess my message is just that you're not alone, you're important, you're loved, and you have a purpose on this earth, and so when you think, nobody likes me or nobody cares, I'm putting kind of my name out there and my website, my contact me, call me, whatever it is, because, I care for you, and I want to get you help.
Erickson says countless people, politicians, famous speakers, even athletes, have contacted him. Some just want to say thanks, while others are looking for support from someone that survived the struggle.
A lot of people say, I've gone through the same stuff, I just never wanted to tell anybody, or I didn't want to share that with people. And so since then, a lot of people have opened up and they've gotten help, and they saw kind of what can happen when you make yourself a little vulnerable by sharing that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, you're changing so many lives and opening people's eyes to a world they had never seen before.
Well, up next, you hear a lot about good gets when coaches are talking about recruiting. Well, this was a great get for South Dakota State, a high jumper that has turned into a Summit League sensation now in her senior season.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort and Dakota Land Honda. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Health, your Heartland Chevy team dealers, and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back. Well, all of our Summer League schools get some of their best athletes from right within their own state borders. And that is certainly the case for one outstanding high jumper at South Dakota State. Here is Tyler Merriam with this week's Campus Spotlight.
First time I high jumped was actually in high school my freshman year. And I wanted to do long jump and triple jump. So they said I would have to do a high jump along with it and just do all three. And so I said, okay.
The Sioux Falls Lincoln Patriot went on to win the state high jump in Class AA as a sophomore, junior, and senior. Her last two titles, she cleared heights of 5'6" and 5'8", each half a foot better than second place, making her a recruit SDSU had to have.
Rod and I were there watching her, and Rod just kind of looked at me and like, don't screw it up. So, you know, that's kind of in the back of her head the whole time. I mean, she's a great athlete. You know, when she came on her visit, I asked her just on this trip this weekend, you know, when did you know? And she's like, on my way home talking to my dad.
Went out to lunch and came to a basketball game and just kind of knew it was a good fit and didn't really need to look any farther, so I canceled some other visits and committed to coming to SDSU.
It was such a big recruit for us, and for me, you know, to this day, if you ask my wife where I was when Mary called me and told me she was going to be, she can tell you exactly where it was and what time it was, because every time we go by there, I go, you know what happened there?
Worth has lived up to the hype and then some. She's won 19 high jump titles while at SDSU, including twice breaking the school record, most recently at 5 feet 10 3/4 inches. She earned All-American honors in the outdoor high jump last June and was once again All-America in the indoors this spring, earning Summit League Indoor Field Athlete of the Year honors in the process.
I think I've slowly become more and more consistent at the higher heights in high jump. So my freshman year I was maybe around 5'6", and I was trying to stay consistent there, and then moving up just a little bit each year. And so now this indoor season, the fact that I was able to be consistent around 5'10" was huge. I've never had an indoor season like that before.
She has really become a really good high jumper. She can tell now what she does wrong when she does it. You know, it's not as much need for me to be there. She can kind of figure it out and go, okay, I need to do this or need to do this.
In addition to her performance in the high jump, she's very involved in events both on and off campus. She's compiled a 3.921 grade point average in biology and made 3 appearances on the Summit League's Distinguished Scholars List. And she was selected to represent the student athletes when the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex opened last fall.
I don't always think I might be the best person for it, but if they ask me, I always want to say yes and do anything I can, you know, for SDSU to promote them, because look at all the things they've done for me, and why wouldn't I turn around and do the same for them?
I mean, you look at what she's done since she's been here, as far as being with FCA and with SAC and doing things with kids and giving back to the community. That's just the type of person she is, and that's the kind of people we want here. She's just been a great asset to the school, to me, to my family. She's just been great.
Worth looks to wrap up her career with another trip to nationals this outdoor season. She'll also finish her undergraduate work this semester. Then it's marriage and grad school.
I have applied to grad schools, PA programs to be a physician assistant. So that's the next step in life. I'm not sure exactly what school I'm going to yet. I'm waiting to hear where my fiance is going to school as well. So a lot of unknowns, but we've got a wedding, PA school, and med school, and then, you know, life just keeps on a trucking whether you're ready for it or not. So.
All right, more from the track coming up next. Some of the best in the league running at the Lee Calhoun Invitational at Western Illinois.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort and Dakota Land Honda. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Health, your Heartland Chevy team dealers, and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, Western Illinois will host the Summit League Outdoor Track and Field Championships coming up in mid-May. So what will the home team have to offer as far as competition? Here's a little look at the Leathernecks from their home meet over the weekend. Western Illinois hosting the Lee Calhoun Invitational. Had Illinois State and Eastern Illinois among the teams in the competition. And in the decathlon, 10 events, some with some speed, some with some strength. And Max Ford, a sophomore from Macomb, Illinois, finishes second in the 110-meter hurdles in a time of 16:58. Ford wins the javelin, wins the shot put, wins the discus, gets that out there close to 33 meters. That would put him in the top 5 in the Summit League Championships. Ford wins the high jump, finishes second in the long jump, second in the pole vault at 3.2 meters, and Max Ford wins the decathlon with 5,925 points. In the women's hammer throw, Sheila Grant Schaefer was 7th last year in the Summit League Outdoor Championships in this event at just over 160 feet. She goes 167 feet 3 inches here, and that is good for second place on the day. In the women's long jump, Jasmine Brown won the triple jump and tied for first in the long jump this year at the Summit League Indoor Championships. Brown wins the long jump here at 19 feet and 3/4 of an inch. In the men's 3,000-meter steeplechase, brutal event, and Mark Holt of Western Illinois, not a career best for him on this day, but good for second place. Holt finishes in a time of 9 minutes 53.73 seconds. In the women's 400 meters, Aaliyah White finished 7th at the Indoor Championships this year in the 400, and she wins here in a time of 56.79 seconds. That is almost a half second faster than the indoor time she turned in February. And in the men's 100 meters, Justin Kilpatrick, he is the defending Summit League Outdoor champion in this event, clocks a 10.64 seconds. That is better than his league-winning time last year. Good for second place in this meet, 0.05 of a second behind the winner from Eastern Illinois. Well, that time by Justin Kilpatrick is the second best in the league so far this season. He is 100th of a second behind the 10.3 seconds run by Gawain Williams at South Dakota last month. And still a month again before the Outdoor Championships start on May 13th at Western Illinois. Thanks to all of our Summit League shooters. We'll see you next week.